Society is structured in a way that benefits a select few while keeping the majority trapped in a cycle of financial struggle. The system isn't broken. It was built this way on purpose. From the moment we enter the world, we are conditioned to follow a path that ensures we remain dependent on jobs, loans, and government programs, while a small percentage of people accumulate wealth and power. Understanding this is the first step toward breaking. Look around. Most people work tirelessly just to make ends meet. They wake up, commute to work, spend 8 or more hours trading their time for a paycheck, then go home exhausted, only to repeat the cycle day after day, year after year. This isn't an accident. It's by design. The economy relies on people who work hard but never truly get ahead. If everyone became financially free, who would keep the machine running? The system needs employees, consumers, and debt holders to function. Those at the top benefit from the labor of the masses while ensuring they never acquire enough financial education or resources to escape. Banks, corporations, and governments all work together to maintain this cycle. Credit cards, student loans, and mortgages are presented as tools to help you succeed, but in reality, they are shackles. Debt ensures that you remain a reliable worker, afraid to take risks because you have bills to pay. Taxes eat away at your earnings, while corporations find loopholes to protect theirs. Inflation slowly drains your purchasing power, making it harder to save and invest. The financial system is a game, and unless you learn the rules, you will always be a pawn. Most people don't realize they are being manipulated because they have been conditioned from childhood to accept this reality. Schools teach conformity, not creativity. They reward obedience, not innovation. The education system was never designed to create entrepreneurs or independent thinkers. It was built during the Industrial Revolution to produce efficient workers who could follow orders, show up on time, and complete repetitive tasks. This model hasn't changed much, even though the world has evolved. Think about what you were taught in school. You learned how to memorize facts, pass tests, and follow instructions. You were graded on your ability to conform, not on your ability to think differently or challenge the status quo. The most successful people in the world, those who build wealth and influence, didn't follow the traditional path. They questioned the system. They created value instead of just consuming it. Yet none of that is taught in school. Why? Because if schools taught financial independence, critical thinking, and wealth-building strategies, the system would collapse. If people understood how money truly works, how to invest, leverage assets, and create multiple income streams, they wouldn't settle for jobs that barely cover their expenses. They wouldn't take on massive debt for a college degree that doesn't guarantee success. They wouldn't be dependent on corporations for their livelihood. Instead, schools instill a fear of failure. They make you believe that getting good grades, going to college, and finding a stable job is the only path to success. But look at the wealthiest people in the world. Many of them didn't follow this path. They built businesses, took risks, and learned financial literacy outside the classroom. Meanwhile, the average person is drowning in student loan debt, working a job they dislike, and struggling to keep up with rising costs. The truth is, the system is not designed to help you win. It's designed to keep you in place. The more dependent you are on a paycheck, the less likely you are to challenge the status quo. The more you rely on debt, the harder it is to take control of your financial future. Schools, banks, and corporations all play a role in keeping you financially tied down while feeding you the illusion of progress. If you want to escape, you have to start thinking differently. The first step is unlearning the lies you've been told about success, money, and security. You have to stop seeing a job as the only way to earn income and start looking at ways to create wealth. You have to educate yourself on financial principles that schools never taught you, because the reality is no one is coming to save you. The system isn't designed for you to win, so you have to create your own path to financial freedom. Inflation is one of the most silent yet devastating ways society keeps you poor. It operates in the background, eroding your purchasing power without you even realizing it. Every year, the price of goods and services increases while the value of your money decreases. The same $100 bill that once bought a cart full of groceries decades ago now barely covers a few essential items. This is not a natural occurrence. It is a deliberate function of the economic system designed to benefit the wealthy while keeping the average person struggling to keep up. Governments and central banks control inflation, and they use it to their advantage. When they print more money, the supply increases, reducing the value of each dollar. They justify this by saying it stimulates the economy, but in reality, it devalues your savings. The money you worked hard to earn and put aside for the future is slowly losing its power. You may think you're saving, but in reality, you're just delaying the loss. If you leave money sitting in a traditional savings account, it's like watching it shrink in real time. Meanwhile, the wealthy understand how inflation works and use it to their advantage. Instead of keeping cash, they invest in assets like real estate, stocks, and businesses that appreciate in value. While inflation eats away at your savings, it increases the value of their investments. They buy properties that go up in price while you struggle to afford rent. They own stocks that rise with the economy while your paycheck barely stretches to cover necessities. They use debt strategically to acquire assets while you take on debt just to survive. The system rewards those who understand how money works and punishes those who don't. You might think that earning more money will solve the problem, but that's an illusion. Wages rarely keep up with inflation. Even if you get a raise, the cost of living has likely increased at the same rate or higher. Gas, groceries, housing, healthcare, everything costs more over time, but your income doesn't rise fast enough to match it. This is why so many people feel stuck. They work harder, make more money, but never seem to get ahead. It's not a lack of effort, it's the way the system is designed. This is why the idea of saving your way to wealth is a lie. Financial advisors might tell you to put your money in a savings account or retirement fund, but that only ensures you keep pace with the system, never break free from it. Inflation guarantees that the longer you hold on to cash, the less valuable it becomes. The wealthy don't save in cash. They store wealth in appreciating assets. They don't rely on wages. They create multiple streams of income that outpace inflation. Yet this is not what is taught in schools or traditional financial education. You are encouraged to work hard, save diligently, and be patient while the wealthy multiply their money effortlessly. Debt is another trap designed to keep you poor. It is marketed as a tool to help you achieve success, but in reality, it is a chain that keeps you tied to the system. From the moment you become an adult, you are encouraged, sometimes even pressured, to take on debt. Student loans, credit cards, car loans, mortgages. The system pushes you toward borrowing money under the promise that it will improve your life. But instead of creating wealth, most debt ensures that you remain a lifelong worker, constantly paying off what you owe. Student loans are one of the biggest financial traps. You are told that a college degree is necessary for success, yet many graduates leave school with massive debt and no guarantee of a high-paying job. Instead of starting their adult lives with financial freedom, they begin in a deep financial hole, spending years or even decades repaying loans. Meanwhile, those who understand the system either find ways to avoid student debt or leverage their education to build wealth quickly. Credit cards are another major trap. They are marketed as a tool for financial flexibility, but they are designed to keep you spending more than you earn. The high interest rates ensure that once you start carrying a balance, it becomes nearly impossible to pay off. People fall into the cycle of making minimum payments thinking they are managing their debt, when in reality, they are just extending the time and interest they will owe. The banks profit immensely from this system, while individuals struggle under the weight of their financial obligations. Car loans are no different. Society encourages people to buy new cars every few years, even though vehicles are depreciating assets. The moment you drive a car off the lot, it loses value, yet people continue to take out loans for cars they can't afford. The auto industry and banks profit while the average person locks themselves into another financial commitment that drains their wealth. Instead of using money to invest, people use it to make monthly payments on things that lose value over time. Mortgages are often seen as good debt, but even they can be a financial trap. While home ownership can be a path to wealth, most people don't truly own their homes. The banks do. A 30-year mortgage means you are committed to paying for decades, with interest payments often exceeding the original loan amount. Home ownership can be a smart investment when done strategically, but for many it becomes another form of lifelong debt that limits financial flexibility. The system is structured in a way that keeps people borrowing, spending, and working just to keep up. Debt ensures that people remain dependent on their jobs, afraid to take risks or pursue opportunities that could lead to financial independence. The fear of missing a payment, losing a home, or damaging credit scores keeps people in line, ensuring they continue to participate in the cycle. The wealthy, on the other hand, use debt strategically. They borrow to buy income-producing assets, using other people's money to build wealth, while the average person borrows to consume, staying trapped in financial servitude. Financial literacy is intentionally left out of mainstream education because if people understood how money, inflation, and debt truly worked, they would make different choices. They wouldn't take on unnecessary loans. They wouldn't let their money sit in savings accounts, and they wouldn't trade their time for wages without investing in assets. The wealthy benefit from a financially ignorant population that continues to fuel the system through endless work, spending, and borrowing. Breaking free from this cycle requires a complete shift in mindset. It requires understanding that inflation is designed to steal your wealth and that debt is not a tool for prosperity but a mechanism for control. The rules of the game are hidden in plain sight, yet most people never learn them. The only way to escape is to take control of your financial education, question the narratives that have been fed to you, and make conscious decisions that move you toward financial independence. Most people spend their entire lives trading time for money, believing that working harder and longer will eventually lead to financial success. This is one of the biggest lies society has conditioned people to believe. The truth is, the rich don't trade time for money, they trade money for time. This simple but powerful difference is why the wealthy continue to grow their fortunes while the majority struggle just to get by. When you rely solely on a paycheck, your income is limited by the number of hours you can work. No matter how skilled, talented, or hardworking you are, there are only so many hours in a day. Even if you earn a high salary, your income is still dependent on your ability to work. If you stop working, the money stops coming in. This is the trap that keeps most people stuck. They spend years climbing the corporate ladder, hoping for a raise or promotion, but they never escape the fundamental limitation of time-based income. Wealthy individuals understand that real financial freedom comes from passive income. Instead of working for money, they make their money work for them. They invest in assets that generate income even when they are not actively working. Rental properties, stocks, businesses, and intellectual property are examples of income-generating assets that continue to pay regardless of how many hours are worked. The goal is to build a system where money flows in automatically, freeing up time to focus on bigger opportunities. Society does not teach this because it thrives on people remaining dependent on jobs. Schools prepare students to become employees, not investors or entrepreneurs. The idea of working a stable job and saving for retirement is deeply ingrained, but it is a slow and ineffective way to build wealth. By the time most people retire, they have spent the best years of their lives working, only to realize they don't have enough saved to truly enjoy financial freedom. Meanwhile, the rich spend their time acquiring assets, leveraging investments, and creating businesses that generate income, even while they sleep. The key to escaping this cycle is shifting your mindset from earning to investing. Instead of focusing solely on how much you make, you must focus on how much of your income is being directed toward wealth-building activities. This means setting aside money to invest in opportunities that will provide long-term financial security. It means learning how to make money work for you instead of constantly working for money. Many people hesitate to take this step because they are afraid of losing money. They prefer the illusion of security that comes with a paycheck rather than the unpredictability of investments. But this fear is what keeps them stuck. The rich take calculated risks. They understand that money grows when it is put to work, not when it is saved or spent on liability. The difference between those who stay poor and those who become wealthy is their willingness to break free from the traditional mindset and take control of their financial future. Fear is one of the most powerful tools society uses to keep people stuck. From a young age, people are taught to fear failure. Schools punish mistakes. Workplaces discourage risk-taking. And society looks down on those who attempt something unconventional. This conditioning creates a mindset where people avoid opportunities that could lead to success because they are too afraid of what might go wrong. The truth is, Failure is not the enemy, it is a necessary part of success. Every wealthy person has faced setbacks, lost money, and made mistakes along the way. The difference is, they didn't let fear stop them. They understood that each failure was a lesson, a stepping stone toward greater success. But most people never get to this point because they are too afraid to take the first step. This fear is reinforced by the system itself. Schools do not encourage independent thinking, they reward obedience. People are trained to follow instructions, pass tests, and seek approval rather than think for themselves. As a result, they grow up afraid to question authority, take risks, or challenge the status quo. This mindset carries over into adulthood where people choose the safe path, getting a steady job, paying bills, and avoiding anything that feels uncertain. But this so-called safety is an illusion. Jobs can be lost, savings can be depleted, and unexpected events can destroy financial stability. Those who rely on traditional security often find themselves the most vulnerable when things go wrong. Entrepreneurs and investors, on the other hand, embrace uncertainty. They understand that risk is necessary for growth. They are willing to take chances because they know that the only way to achieve financial independence is to step outside of their comfort zones. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. While most people avoid challenges, the wealthy seek them out, knowing that overcoming difficulties leads to greater rewards. One of the biggest fears that holds people back is the fear of what others will think. Society conditions people to seek approval and avoid standing out. Taking a different path, starting a business, investing, or pursuing an unconventional career often comes with criticism from family, friends, and peers. People who break away from the system are labeled as reckless or unrealistic. This pressure causes many to abandon their dreams and settle for a life of mediocrity. But the reality is, those who achieve success are the ones who refuse to conform. They are the ones who ignore the opinions of others and follow their own vision. The world's most successful people, entrepreneurs, inventors, and industry leaders were once seen as crazy or misguided. But they didn't let fear of judgment stop them. They believed in their abilities, took risks, and proved everyone wrong. Another way fear keeps people trapped is through financial insecurity. Many people stay in jobs they hate because they are afraid of losing their income. They put up with toxic work environments, low pay, and lack of fulfillment because they feel they have no other choice. This fear prevents them from exploring new opportunities, starting their own businesses, or investing in themselves. Wealthy individuals do not operate from a place of fear. They build financial buffers, create multiple income streams, and position themselves so they are never dependent on a single source of income. They understand that security does not come from a paycheck, it comes from having control over their financial destiny. They take calculated risks, knowing that even if they fail, they can recover and keep moving forward. Fear also keeps people stuck in cycles of spending and debt. Many people spend money to impress others, buying expensive cars, clothes, and gadgets to maintain a certain image. They fear looking unsuccessful, so they prioritize appearances over actual financial stability. This leads to unnecessary debt, making it even harder to break free from financial dependence. The wealthy do not fall into this trap. They understand that true wealth is not about what you show on the outside, but what you build on the inside. They prioritize investing over spending, knowing that long-term financial freedom is more valuable than short-term gratification. They do not let fear dictate their financial decisions. They make choices based on strategy and long-term vision. The difference between those who stay poor and those who build wealth is not intelligence, luck, or background. It is mindset. The poor let fear control their actions, while the wealthy use fear as fuel to push forward. Those who succeed are not the ones who never feel fear, but the ones who refuse to let it stop them. The world rewards those who take risks, think independently, and refuse to be controlled by the system. Your network determines your net worth. The people you surround yourself with influence your mindset, habits, and opportunities. If you spend most of your time with people who complain about money, believe success is impossible, or settle for mediocrity, you will unconsciously adopt the same beliefs. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people who think big, take action, and constantly seek growth, you will begin to see the world differently. Wealthy people understand this principle, which is why they deliberately choose their circle. They spend time with other successful individuals who challenge them to think bigger, push them to improve, and introduce them to new opportunities. Most people never reach their full potential because they stay within environments that limit them. They fear breaking away from their old circles, worried about being judged or criticized. But success requires difficult choices. It requires letting go of relationships that hold you back and actively seeking connections that elevate you. This doesn't mean abandoning people entirely, but it does mean being intentional about who influences your thoughts and decisions. Every conversation you have either moves you forward or keeps you stuck. The wealthiest individuals make sure their daily interactions inspire progress, not stagnation. Opportunities are not just found in books or courses, they are found in conversations. The right network opens doors that you didn't even know existed. A single introduction can lead to a game-changing business deal, a profitable investment, or a mentor who accelerates your success. The rich understand that success is rarely achieved alone. They build powerful relationships with people who can help them grow, and they offer value in return. They understand that wealth is not just about money, it's about access, connections, and collaboration. If you want to change your financial situation, you have to start by changing who you listen to. You have to seek out people who are already where you want to be and learn from them. Whether through mentorship, networking events, or online communities, you must actively position yourself in environments where success is the norm. It is not about luck, it is about placing yourself in the right circles where opportunities naturally arise. Multiple income streams are no longer optional. They are a necessity. Relying on a single source of income, especially a job, is one of the riskiest financial decisions you can make. Jobs can be lost, industries can collapse, and economies can shift overnight. The wealthy understand this, which is why they never depend on just one stream of income. They diversify their earnings through investments, businesses, real estate, and digital assets. The middle class is taught to focus on job security, but true security comes from financial independence. If your only source of income is your job, your financial future is in someone else's hands. The rich do not put themselves in that position. They build multiple streams of income so that if one dries up, they still have others flowing. Whether it's dividends from stocks, rental income, royalties, or online businesses, they make sure money is coming in from different directions at all times. The school system was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you obedient. From a young age, you are taught to follow instructions, memorize facts, and conform to a structured system that rewards compliance over creativity. You are trained to show up on time, sit still, and listen to authority. Exactly the qualities that make you a good employee, but not a successful entrepreneur or investor. The education system was built during the Industrial Revolution, a time when factories needed disciplined workers to perform repetitive tasks. Even though the economy has evolved, the system has remained the same, producing generations of people who seek security over freedom. Wealthy individuals understand that traditional education is limited. While formal schooling teaches valuable skills, it does not teach financial literacy, negotiation, investing, or entrepreneurship, the very skills needed to achieve financial independence. Instead of relying on school, the rich invest in self-education. They read books, attend seminars, hire mentors, and learn directly from successful individuals who have already achieved what they aspire to. They know that the real lessons about money and success are not found in textbooks, but in real-world experience. Most people graduate with degrees but lack the knowledge to manage money, grow wealth, or leverage assets. They take on student loans without understanding interest rates, sign employment contracts without negotiating salaries, and spend years in jobs without ever learning how to create passive income. This is not an accident. It is the result of an education system that deliberately excludes financial empowerment. If schools taught financial freedom, fewer people would depend on jobs, debt, and government support. The system thrives on people who remain financially uninformed, making them easier to control. Those who break free understand that real education never ends. They continuously seek knowledge that is practical and applicable to wealth building. They learn about business, investing, marketing, and sales, skills that create financial opportunities beyond a traditional paycheck. They know that the most valuable education comes from experience, trial and error, and direct mentorship from those who have already succeeded. They refuse to be limited by the narrow curriculum of formal education and instead take full responsibility for their own learning and financial future. The final trap that keeps people poor is the belief that money is scarce. Society conditions you to think that wealth is limited, that only a few lucky people can be rich, and that financial success is out of reach for the average person. This scarcity mindset keeps people stuck in fear, afraid to take risks, invest, or build something greater. It leads to competition instead of collaboration, hoarding instead of growing, and survival instead of abundance. Wealthy individuals operate from an abundance mindset. They know that money is created, not just earned. They understand that opportunities are everywhere for those who are willing to see them. Instead of fearing competition, they build partnerships. Instead of clinging to a single source of income, they create multiple streams. They know that success is not about luck, but about learning the rules of money, taking action, and continuously expanding their financial knowledge. The truth is, society was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to keep you in a cycle of dependency. From the moment you enter the school system to the moment you retire, you are conditioned to follow a path that benefits the system, not you. You are told to work hard, get a good job, save money, and retire after decades of labor. But this path does not lead to financial freedom. It leads to a lifetime of struggle, where you are always one step behind, always working just to keep up. The rules you were taught about money, success, and security were never meant to make you rich. They were meant to keep you under control. If you want to escape, you must be willing to unlearn everything you thought you knew about wealth. You must challenge the beliefs that have been ingrained in you since childhood. You must reject the idea that trading time for money is the only way to survive. You must stop thinking like an employee and start thinking like an investor, an entrepreneur, a wealth builder. The system thrives on people who blindly follow the script, but the ones who break free are those who take control of their financial education, their mindset, and their actions. Financial freedom does not come from working harder. It comes from working smarter. It comes from understanding how money actually works, how the wealthy use inflation to their advantage, how they leverage debt to acquire assets, how they create multiple income streams to protect themselves from economic uncertainty. It comes from shifting your focus from earning a paycheck to building long-term wealth. The rich do not live paycheck to paycheck because they do not rely on a single source of income. They invest in businesses, real estate, stocks, and intellectual property that generate cash flow even when they are not working. They do not fear financial downturns because they have positioned themselves to thrive no matter what happens in the economy. Escaping the system requires bold action. It requires you to break away from environments that limit your thinking and surround yourself with people who push you to grow. It requires you to stop waiting for permission and start creating opportunities for yourself. It requires you to take risks, face failures, and keep moving forward no matter what obstacles arise. The difference between those who stay trapped and those who break free is not luck or intelligence. It is the willingness to take control of their own destiny. The system will not change for you. It will continue to reward those who understand how it works and punish those who remain blind to its traps. But the good news is you now have a choice. You can continue following the script that was written for you, or you can step outside the system and rewrite your own. The world is full of opportunities, but they will only reveal themselves to those who are willing to see beyond the illusion. Wealth is not reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone who is willing to claim it. The question is, will you take the first step?